this thing, recruitment, selection and training. And we finished up till selection. So today we will do training. I hope this was clear to you. Look at this. Now we are talking about over here. You remember? We spoke about the topics of sales. And we spoke about the product, the market, company orientation, how to negotiate, how to sell. All those things we spoke about. Now today, I would like to tell you the process. Look at this. I'd like you people to go through this. So the first thing first is to start with the assessment of sales training need. And then training objective. Then evaluation of training alternatives. And moving on, design sales training program, perform sales training, conduct follow-up and evaluation. We'll take this thing one by one. So let's begin. First thing first, the method. When I say method, it is about the Salesforce audit, performance testing, observation, and sales survey and customer survey. This is the thing how we go about doing. So when the first thing is Salesforce audit, where you talk about, you do audit of the people who are working with you. So these things are important. These things are important in terms of that if you have got the right set of people or not, if you have got the performer or not. So moving on, observation, Salesforce survey, customer survey and job analysis. So these things are when we talk about the method of training. Moving ahead, what exactly is the basic point of the training program? The training program, it focuses on the one thing, which is how to sell. How to sell and how I can be able to close my sale. And if I don't have the product knowledge or information, then I won't be able to do it. So these two things are very, very vital as far as the sales training is concerned. That is the knowledge part of the product and the way how you close the deal. Moving ahead. Look at this. Evaluating training alternatives. Now this becomes very, very important, that who would be your trainer, an internal one or external one. So when I say, if I want to have a fresh perspective, if I want to have a fresh perspective, so I will hire somebody from outside who would be bringing me new ideas, bringing me, a fresh approach. So that will help me, or that will, make my employees, my sales force, more conducive to the changing environment. So this is important. Now, when I talk about the trainer, I would also like to speak about the, let's say, the location where the training could be held. It might be on the site, that is in office, or it might be outside the office. So this is important, and I should be able to do this thing. So again, centralized. So either you can on your in your office or outside the office. That's completely your choice. Okay, so that should be important. Moving ahead. Now there are different types of methods. Now these methods are which will be suitable, which would be suitable for your sales force, and not to one training fits all. There have to be different types of training for different set of people. Okay, so if I have to talk about, let's say, different types of training categories, so the first would be the classroom or conference training, where the new workforce or the salespeople are called and they are invited to be part of that training program. So if I do this thing, if I want to talk about my product, my services, so on theoretical basis, that thing can be communicated. Now the second is simulation. Simulation means you create an environment. Let's say you ask somebody to be the client and somebody to be the salesperson and try to sell it. Online training, like the way what we are doing, virtual training. Absorption training, where you have to do the things which you have been told in theoretical class. So both the things you have to, once you learn in theory class, then you do that in your practical class. On the job training, it's been you will be trained, your boss will take you, your senior will take you, and then he is going to demonstrate how a sale call is or how you approach a client. So these are the 5 categories which we would discuss it, which we have already discussed it. Now, talking about the training program, like finalizing the training program, schedule, make necessary travel arrangements. So all those things should be taken care of. Where the people will stay, who is going to train them, how much you will be paid, all those things will be given to you. So this becomes important, right? So moving ahead. If you see perform sales training, so now when you start acting, you should always do this thing when you have to see this that if the job what I have been assigned to or what I have given, is it happening or not? The trainee should be aware about the needs and how the things will move in a way that they should be immensely benefited. Moving ahead, we spoke about the training place, the internal and external trainer. We also spoke about the job location. Now, there would be some material, literature, which will be helpful in the training process. So that should be given in advance or over there, because it will be a ready reckoner. It will be a ready reckoner for all the trainees. Moving ahead, look at this. Now you will do the evaluation part, that whatever training we have done or we have imparted, was that fruitful? Joseph. Was that successful? And this evaluation, जिसको हम लोग आकलन हिंदी में कहते हैं, that can be only done when you see that the performance has improved. Now the employees are more aware about the product and the selling process. So these things will help you. These things will help you to understand that yes, the training which we have given to them is beneficial and it has been well absorbed by the people, by the sales force, because their knowledge has improved, their presentation skill has improved, and as a result, the sales have also improved. So this is how you do the evaluation part. Now, when we talk about the follow-up, obviously one-time training would not be sufficient. So I need to keep on checking, keep on doing the follow-up, that whatever I have done, do my employees, they need one more refresher course? Would they like to go for another round of interview? So these things should be done, because that is going to help my sales force. So that will be beneficial for this thing. Now moving ahead, we will today talk about, again, we have finished up unit 7. Now we will start unit 8. Now unit 8 starts with the compensation part, compensation management. When I had to talk about compensation, I mean the salary part and other benefits besides salary. So when you are asking somebody to work for me, so that helps, or that will give the right substitute. If I have to say that if you're asking somebody to work for, let's say, 8 hours, so that would be very much compensated or adequate in terms of paying to your sales force. So here we will talk about the direct compensation, indirect compensation, and other things. Moving ahead, look at this. Why we need compensation? Because this compensation helps to boost up the morale of the sales force, of the employees, and they feel that their needs are well taken care of by the company, and they can work without paying or without thinking about their need, about their family, because all the things have been taken care by the family. So this also helps in getting the best of the brain, in retaining the sales force. So these are the things which are important as part of compensation goes. We'll move. Now, what are direct compensation? I would like you to read this thing. Direct compensation, it's a basic salary, basic pay, plus allowances, like your traveling allowance, your food allowance, and other, your dress allowance. All these allowance, they depend upon the company to company, but these are the things which are part of direct compensation. And it also increases with the promotion, or with the, once you grow up in your organization, it gets high. Moving ahead, now look at this indirect compensation. Here we are talking about something as incentive. Maybe, a leave to some exotic place, maybe some award and recognition, or maybe you will be sent to some important training program. So these become part of indirect compensation. We'll move. Now, what are the factors? What are the factors which helps, or which affects compensation. First thing first is your product life cycle. At what stage your product is. This, like if the product is in the introductory phase, you should be putting more effort in that, incentivizing people to go for it, to promote your things. And if it's in the mature stage, it's completely depend upon the effort you want to push your product. It's the stage where you can see that how much incentive you would like to give to your sales force. Like as part of compensation in the initial phase, it requires a lot of effort. So you have to pay more to your sales force because they are putting in so much of hard work. At the, let's say at the end stage, at the declining stage, you don't want to continue with this thing, your product. So what happens, you don't want to spend so much of money, so it gives you this thing. So these are the things which you have to take care of. And compensation is part, and salespeople demographic. When I talk about demographic, I mean age, sex, gender, and education. So this factor will also help if somebody is, let's say, like, you know, have more credential, more degree, then obviously you should pay more to it. You should pay more to it. And also the role of selling in the marketing strategy of the company. It means that what company is proposing, what strategy company is adopting. So these things you also take care of, and accordingly you make the payment. Moving ahead. Now, sales compensation plan A design criteria. I have told you that there are different companies doing different things. In the IT sector, there would be a different compensation plan in compared to the FMCG sector. So, you know, these factors, they take in consideration. They take in consideration while doing this thing. So when you planning a compensation package, you should take care of the industry standard. You should take care of the trend going on, the educational qualification, and other factors, the company policies as well. So, because there are certain companies which are not into, you know, hiring somebody at a lower salary. They have got something as a policy, as a standard. So once you have the standard, then you have to follow that thing. So these are the things we should take care of. And all this compensation plan is done in order to motivate your sales force. I hope this is clear. We'll move. Now, why change the sales compensation plan? Obviously, a very valid question, that if your competition or if the industry or the trend is changing, then obviously you cannot afford to lag behind. You have to be at par with them. Then you are going to attract the best of the brain. Best brain. So this is important, and if you are doing this thing, then you will get the best of the talent, the best of the people for your work. Moving ahead. So if I have to summarize, it means that uh, I have to take care of immense my workforce. And in terms of compensation, compensation has got two parts, direct and indirect compensation, which should be very, very given to this, which should be taken care of if I want a workforce which is efficient and which is workable for me. So with this, we have finished up unit number 8. Now we'll move to unit number 9, which is motivation, coaching, and counseling. So if I have to take care of my sales force, I should be motivating them. I should be coaching them. So that becomes an important factor for me. So moving ahead, let's see why it is important to motivate or to motivate people or to counsel or coach them. Look at this. First thing first, leaders are important as far as sales is concerned, because if leaders are not capable, then you will not be able to motivate your team. You will not be able to get the job done for your sales force, for your organization. So that's why it becomes very, very important. Moving ahead. Now, there is a term called Pygmalion effect. Pygmalion effect is that if you are doing work, you are expected to do more work. So this is the, you can say, tool used by sales manager if they have to motivate or if they have to assign work to their subordinates. So when a manager is not happy, he will not talk to the sales manager or to the people. But if he is happy, he will motivate, he will give you a pat on the back, and then you will be incentivized, or you should be promoted. So these kind of things is known as Pygmalion effect. And without talking, without saying anything, the managers, with the help of this effect, they try to drive their point home, and that is well understood by the workforce. So this is important, and taking care of this thing, we should be able to motivate our sales force. Moving ahead, sales force motivation, again, very important. You spoke about, if you remember, we spoke about the Maslow's need hierarchy, where Maslow's need hierarchy, when we have got different needs. So there are motivation level at the level of individual, at the level of entire sales force, and people tend to be motivated, or people will be motivated both intrinsically or extrinsically, external and internal as well. So this is very, very important. Again, we'll move. Need-based motivation, I told you, and in this we spoke about Maslow's need hierarchy. Now there are certain tools and techniques which help me or which helps a employee to motivate, and that is motivated by incentives, motivation by incentives, motivation by incentives, fear factor is there, and then attitude, motivation. So these are the ways how a company motivates its sales force or a sales manager motivates its employees. So this should be very clear to you. Now look at this. We'll move. Now sales coaching. Sales coaching. Sales coaching is a mentor-based profession. It is pretty essential to establish a nurturing mentor-mentee relationship. Because you remember, you might be very good, but unless you are not coached in the right way, then you won't be able to perform your job in the best possible manner. So there are coaches which will help or which supports the sales professional to go about their life and to go successfully about making sales. Now sales coaching, now sales counseling is also important. Counseling like what we are doing, a hand holding thing. If I have got some issues, I'll go to a counselor because that counselor is important. He has got experience and he will guide me. He will guide me as far as counseling goes. So that becomes very, very important for me. So sales counseling is important. Now we'll move. We would like to summarize it. Now in summary, as we all know, leadership and motivation is very, very important. It talks about that why motivation is important, why a leader is important for a team, why a counselor and a coach is important for a team. These things become very, very important for any team to perform, any sales manager to perform. So for this, I should be ready for this. And if a company has got this kind of things, then trust me that Salesforce will get the job done, will be able to achieve the target. So with this, we have finished up unit number 9. Now we'll move to unit number 10, which is evaluation of Salesforce and monitoring. Again, this is very important. Now, what exactly is this? You have trained, you have compensated. Now I will do an evaluation that whatever I have done is good, bad, or ugly. So this is the thing what it starts with. So when I say evaluation, I mean that I am going to evaluate that the capability of my sales force, that how or why things are not happening and how we are going to fix up the loss or fix up that loop. So these are the factors which is important, and if the evaluation is done in the right way, so that will help me or help my team to perform and will fill the gap between the expectation and the actual performance. Now, what are the evaluation criteria? is like quantitative measures, and we'll have both qualitative measures as well. So as far as quantitative measures is concerned, we'll talk about the achievement in sales, the profit, what I generated, the number of client I have met, the new client, the existing client. Uh, so, uh, so when I talk about the call what I have made to the party, the number of meetings I have conducted, the the sales to client ratio, the meeting, that out of my 10 meetings I have been able to meet or convert 2 clients. So all these factors, all these parameters will be a part of my evaluation criteria. Now talk about qualitative measures. Quantitative measures, the things which can be quantified, whereas if I talk about qualitative measures, so qualitative measures is very simple. I would like to evaluate my sales force on the basis of the soft skill they have or they are showcasing. When I say soft skill, I mean the way they present themselves, the way they interact, the product knowledge they carry, the demonstration they give, their verbal and non-verbal gesture will be part of qualitative measures. And that will help me to understand or to evaluate the learning part of my sales force. So we spoke about quantitative measures. We also spoke about qualitative measures. So if you move, look at this. Now there are certain parameters. There are certain ratios by which you can evaluate the performance of your sales force. I have given you some. Sales quota, profit margin, sales expense ratio, call frequency ratio, calls per day, average cost per call. I'll explain each and everything, so you don't need to worry about it. When I say sales quota, I mean that whatever target my sales executive has got or has been given by the higher management, so in compared to that quota, how he is performing. Is he performing in the best possible way? How much he has achieved? Second is profit margin. When I say about profit margin, I mean sales is different, profit is different. Profit is equal to sales minus sales price minus cost price. So how much he is able to generate profit? There could be 2 sales executives selling the same product, one making or one selling at a good rate, because you try to understand the selling price, what is quoted, especially it happens with the industrial goods, and the actual price. When I say actual price, the price where company will not make any loss, will still make profit, but not one is selling at a higher margin, other is selling at a lower margin. So that will be also evaluated. I told you sales expense ratio, sales by expense. how much resources you are using to generate sale. Somebody will incur less expense and will get more sale, whereas the other would be incurring more expenditure to get the same sale. So which one will be better? Obviously the second one. Call frequency ratio. When I talk about call, how many calls you have to make to get the deal? And how many calls with how many clients you are talking every day? Some would be like, making 5 calls and getting the deal. 2 clients, they will close. Now somebody will have to make 10 calls to close 1 client. Now both have their pros and cons. Pros in the sense, if even though I'm only able to make one deal, but I have spoken to 10 clients. So I have apprised them about my product or services to the 10 people. In compared to somebody who has only spoken to 5 people, even though he has closed 2 deals. So again, that's decision a company has to make. Calls per day. And meeting them, how much expense, what is the cost I'm incurring? I might be like spending 10 rupees in order to get 15 rupees of sale. But some would be there in my team who will be only spending 5 rupees to get 15 rupees of sale. So that person will be a better sales executive. So I should be very, very careful about that. So these are the certain ratios which takes care of the evaluation and monitoring part. If I have evaluated my sales force on these parameters or ratios, things will be very, very clear. Things will be very, very clear in terms of that which salesman or which sales executive is better than the others. Right? I'll move. You have trained your sales force, you have compensated them well, you have motivated them also, and you are a good leader. But let me tell you one thing. If the sales force or the sales people or the sales executives are not monitored and supervised, not watched, it might happen that after a few days they will lose their motivation. They will go haywire. They won't be focusing on the job what they are supposed to do. So a boss, a sales manager should always be on his feet and keep a watchful eye on his or her salespeople. And once you are monitoring and you are supervising, you will be also able to guide them if they are faltering somewhere, if they are lacking somewhere. So sometimes you ask for the report, these are the methods of supervision and monitoring. Or you go with them to make calls, or you check on them, their reports, which they are supposed to file every week or every fortnight. So these things are done by salesperson and watched and monitored by the sales manager in order to have a smooth or seamless flow of work. Because if they don't do, what happens? For a few days, your salespeople will be motivated and you will be okay with that. But after some times, because I told you, one of the disadvantages of sales management is, or sales is the monotonity of work. Same kind of repeat work you have to do. call client, meet them, try to close the sale, get the money, get the feedback. So after some time, the sales executive, they start getting bored. So a manager should be able to keep an eye, and if they see that their motivation level is getting down, is going down, they should be able to talk to them, talk to the team, motivate them, to pep them up by different types of things. Maybe you give them some incentives, maybe a treat, maybe you go with them. So these are the things which is important, and one of those things are monitoring and supervision. Now look at this, sales reporting. Again, this is very important. Now, if a sales team or if a sales executive doesn't report what actually they are doing. Now, every company, and most of the companies, they have got different type of reporting system. If I have to talk about, let's say, photocopier industry, now they have got piles of pages to be filled every day. But there would be a company where only one page of report will be sufficient. So this sales reporting is important because first of all, it has an interaction. It establishes the interaction between the boss and the team, and also it makes sales for the sales executive accountable. Accountable to the manager, to the company, and those things are documented also. So the sales executive or the sales force cannot, in fact, they should not, but cannot cheat on their managers, on their goals. So if I have to talk about the ingredients or the items of a report, is all mentioned over there. The name of the salesman, the dealer, product, when you are going them, at what time, how much call you are making, order call ratio, average cost. We already discussed this thing. Your feedback, how many accounts. When I say accounts, it means how many clients you are handling. Look, the sales team has got many members, 10 members, 15 members. And area is divided, the entire geographical area is divided among them. I am not supposed to go and cover the entire, let's say, Patna or Mumbai, because that's humanly not possible. And even though it's possible, I won't be able to justify. So it's divided among team members. So I should be able to have my area under my control. Whosoever are the dealers over there, I should go and meet them, have a good rapport with them. So those things are known as accounts. So reporting is very, very vital because it helps in documentation of what you are doing, day-to-day affair. And it is helpful when it times comes for your appraisal at the end of the financial year in the month of March, or that depends upon the company or industry nature. Some companies, they do that in month of December, someone does it in February or March. It's completely the company's call. So even though the report says that you are doing sufficient effort, but still you are not making the sale. Now the manager will sit with you and will try to discuss that what's wrong, what's the issue. And as the manager is senior to you, he has got more experience than you, he has been there where you are right now. So he would guide you. He will come with you, will talk to the client and show you the things how you should do. And in a case, you will be having this report as a supporting evidence that you are not bluffing, you are making calls, you are going and meeting clients, but still the business is not coming. There could be many reasons. Maybe the industry is on down run, or maybe the economic is melting, is slow, or the market is saturated, or product is not of that nature. So these factors are well documented, and they are the feedback by the sales team. And we all know that sales team is the backbone of any company. So that becomes important. Moving ahead. Now, if I have to summarize, then I will talk about evaluation program. What it does? When I have to evaluate, I would do the evaluation on the basis of the skills, on the basis of the aptitudes and attitudes, okay, and his effort also. Because sometimes what happens, I will tell you from a real life example. You know, there are people who are very good performer in their previous companies. But when they come to this company, it might happen. People, obviously, they jump for a better growth. They jump for better prospect. But again, as you shift the company, the product mix, the quality, the environment, the brand of the company changes. And as somebody who was a great performer in the previous company because he was working with number one company, the selling was not a difficult job. But as he moved to another company, which is not number one, might be number two, but the effort required because the market is used to buying the product, which is number one, which has got the best quality. But the company which you have changed is number two, and the market is not very much aggressive or not very much interested in your product. So what happens, the salesman who was a great performer over there, he would start faltering over here. Because your effort is fine. But what happens, the market, the customers are loyal to an extent. They are not going to spend the money time and again if the product is not as per their liking. So what happens? You will start facing issues. Even though you are putting more effort, but market is not ready to buy it. So this case of thing has happened, and this evaluation is done by the manager. It cannot happen that somebody who was so good in a previous company can be so bad, because the sales management remains more or less in the same industry. So the manager will sit, will talk, will discuss, and maybe slide here and there some changes. You will start getting the result. And if you are not getting the result, then it might has to do with your attitude. It's mentioned over there. There are two words, aptitudes and attitudes. I would like you to see the dictionary and get aware about the difference. Aptitude like means something to do with your skills, with your analytical skills. I have the aptitude, right aptitude for, let's say, numbers. I am good in math, so I have got the aptitude for this. Somebody would be having the right aptitude for let's say something creative, some literature. And attitude is the way I look towards things. I have told, in consumer behavior, we have spoken about it. So my attitude, come what may, but I am going to get the job done. So that would be my attitude. So that's the difference between aptitude and attitude. Second is the study of his selling record, his efforts and accomplishments. Look, it's not important because market has many forces. I hope you guys remember when we were talking about strategic management. So Michael E. Porter spoke about 5 forces which acts on a market, right? For entry of new firms, rivalry within firms, bargaining power of supplier and buyer, and threat of new substitutes. So these forces, they act. Being a salesman or sales executive or sales manager, I can have great knowledge about my product. I can give a great demonstration, but getting the job done, it means selling it, will be the result of all my effort. But still there are forces that acts on the market and that might act as a hindrance. For example, in 2020, the Corona came. Now, even though I'm a great sales manager, but where people were locked in their houses, will they buy? Will they go for it? Because the focus was more towards the basic requirement like food, safety, medicine, and accomplishment. I've told you already that if somebody was a great salesman, then what has happened over here? The third point says an analysis of the direction the development function is to take. Now it's very important, though we are trying to summarize it, but it's very important to understand that what happens every couple of years, the company keeps on changing the technology. Like when I was working in Mumbai, so there was no WhatsApp. There was only mobile phone. Camera was recently launched. So our job was a bit easy because we were not asked to send out photographs or to join a meeting. But nowadays, because of the technological evolution, the salesman or the sales executive or the sales force has to be more dynamic and to be more engaging. So though it has opened a new avenue, but it has also become a challenge to the sales force. So when company introduces new technology, the salesman should have the right aptitude. Again, I'm bringing this thing, aptitude and attitude. Like when computer was launched, many people were not ready to learn computer because they thought computer will take the job away. But had anyone thought about this thing that this computer will start a new industry which will employ multiple people in lakhs, like e-commerce industry? All this Flipkart and Amazon and Book My Show and so on and so forth. So you should be having the right set of attitude also to learn things which are being introduced by the company. So far, if I have to talk about this thing, so far we have learned, again I will try to recapitulate it. We have learned in sales management the definition of sales. We have learned about the different requirement of a salesman or a sales executive. We spoke about the negotiation skill. We spoke about the writing skill. We also spoke about the different kind of communication skill, the verbal, non-verbal gesture, mix of both. We then spoke about hiring, recruitment and selection of the employees, how these two things, recruitment and selections are different in their approach. Recruitment is a positive factor where selection is a negative approach. I'm just trying to recapitulate so that get a hang of what I'm trying to tell you or what we have spoken till now. Then we also spoke about the training part, that who can train them, what are the important training parts. Then once they're ready, then they should be compensated. Compensated, obviously, in terms of both financial as well as non-financial, direct compensation and indirect compensation. We just discussed. Where compensation involves, direct compensation involves salary, basic salary, and your allowances. Indirect compensation, we spoke about your incentives, we spoke about some training programs, some awards, some recognition. And after compensation, you should also motivate the workforce, because due to the monotony of the work, the salesman might get a bit less motivated. So that becomes a job of a manager to do so. So manager has to act as a leader. There must be leadership quality in a manager. Because if you're unable to lead, if you're unable to walk the talk, then it becomes difficult. After this, we spoke about the evaluation, that how we are going to evaluate the performance of a salesman or a sales executive, because that will give me an idea that my training, my compensation, my motivation is working or not. And after doing all these things, I should be also keeping an eye, monitoring, supervising them. Because if I'm not doing it, then it might happen they will lag somewhere, they will falter somewhere. And after this, we spoke about the report writing, sales report. That becomes a documentation which can be reserved, which can be preserved to support your claim, for your appraisal time. So these are the things which sales management or a sales manager has to do if he or she wants to lead a team which is efficient and which is able to get the job done. Because if you are not making the money, as you know, sales team are the revenue center. If you are not making the money, if you are not getting the job done, then company will be at loss. That becomes very, very important. So with this thing, we have ended sales management. I appreciate your patience, your time. Thanking you for joining. I wish you a great day ahead. Namaste.